Okay, I'm gonna go through and show you how to create the collages and the basic functions for Photoshop. So once you're logged into Photoshop, you're gonna go to File, New, hit Print Mode, and that'll come up with your letter size, 8.5 by 11 inches, and then just change the orientation so it's horizontal. And then I'm gonna hit Create. And then in order to change the background color, you could select the paint bucket tool, which might be behind your gradient tool. So if you see the gradient tool, just click and hold and click the paint bucket tool. Double click the color, choose whatever color you want, and then you're just gonna drop it and it's on the background layer now. And then to start adding in your images, I'm gonna go to the file folder here, and I saved all my images in a Google Pics folder, but yours are gonna be your original images that you took. To see them easily, you could just hit view, and then you could go to large icons or medium icons, and then this way you could see the pictures. That helps a ton. So I'm gonna start with this background image and just drag and drop it and let go, and it should pull into my screen, which is perfect. So I'm gonna hit enter to place it, and I'm gonna make this the low opacity background. And just remember, you could pull up on Canvas your checklist so you have it next to you so you can see what you need to do each time. So on this layer of the school, I'm just gonna go right here to opacity, and I'm gonna lower my opacity. And you could play around with fill and opacity and kind of see what way you like it better. They're both very similar. So there you go. So now I've got pink North Campus, and that's going to be my background layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull in some other images. We'll do me with the baby duck. I'm going to make it smaller and then hit enter to place it. And then I'm going to cut out the background. So the easiest way to do this is to go to select at the top, subject, and it's loading. And once you have the little dotted lines, that means something's selected. So it's selected it perfectly. Now, in order to inverse it, you have to be on a selection tool. So I like to go right here and just click the square because that's the easiest. And then you have to inverse it. So you could right click, select inverse. And then this way you could see it's going around the edges. So that means that it's the opposite that's selected. And then on your keyboard, you can just hit backspace. And now I get this message. It's a smart object. So in order to make it not a smart object, we have to rasterize the layer. So I right click the layer and I hit rasterize layer. Now when I hit backspace, voila, it is gone. Now I have to deselect. I can't do anything unless the dots are gone. If I try, it's just going to do weird things. So I hit Control D to deselect. So now I am cut out with my baby duck, and I can make it bigger and smaller by hitting Control T to transform and then enter to place it. So that's one way to cut things out. There is another option. So this one, if I wanted to add the LT logo, and I just wanted to very quickly select the gray parts, I could click and hold and use my magic wand tool, click the background and just hit backspace, and it's still a smart object. So if you see the little post-it note here, that means that it's a smart object. So you could right click, rasterize layer, backspace, click backspace, easy peasy. Control D to deselect. And then I can kind of resize it again if I wanted to. So, and I've got these two. So then let's say I wanted to make something black and white. This is just a random cute baby that I photographed over the summer. So I'm going to place her in there and change it to make it black and white. So I'm going to go down here to what I like to call the little Oreo, click, and you could do black and white. And it applies to the whole image, but don't worry, we're just going to apply it to the one layer of the baby. And you could kind of work around with your sliders a little bit, see how you want it to contrast. And then to select both layers, I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard, Shift, hold Ashley, and hold the black and white layer, right click, merge layers. This will combine those two layers, so then it's just black and white on that one picture that I wanted it to be. So let's go back to my checklist. And I've got two cutout images. I've got black and white already. And then I've got low opacity. Let's do hue saturation. So that one's very similar to the black and white. Let's use this cute photo. class of 2034. And what I'm going to do, let's say I want the whole thing to be like a blue and gold school spirit. So I'm gonna go back to the Oreo. I'm gonna go to hue saturation, click colorize. This is really important. Click the colorize box. Again, it applied it to the whole thing, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go to blue. I'm gonna increase the saturation, try and get that LT blue. And then this way the whole thing is hue saturation. Again, I'm gonna hold shift. I'm gonna click the layer of her, right click, merge those two layers together. Now it's got hue saturation. So as long as you hit this checklist throughout your 3 collages, you'll be fine. So you don't need a black and white on each one. You don't need a hue saturation on each one. You just need it one per collage. Exposure, contrast, most of these we did in Lightroom already, so don't worry about that. And then the last thing is just the text stroke. So if I wanted to put on here, we are LT, I'm gonna change it to gold. I could even make it so it's the exact color of my duck by clicking the eyedropper tool, and then it'll help me select the exact yellow. So then this way I could make it so it matches with my image. So that's the same yellow. And then to add the stroke or the outline, you go to layer, layer style, stroke. Make sure that outside is selected. Yours automatically is going to go to inside. Make sure it goes to outside. And then you could increase the size. You could use the eyedropper tool again. You just move your mouse over. I could eyedrop it so it matches with this blue a little bit better, or the brown in my hair, whatever I wanted to do. And then I hit OK. And there's a little preview icon too, so you can see if you like it or not, or if you want to change something, and then you hit OK. And you could change up here the font, the size. Some of them are bold, some are not. You could also, if you want, you could click and do more Adobe fonts. And if you click here and log into your info, you're going to end up with a ton more fonts. So that's fun. So yeah, and then when you are ready to save it, you have to flatten all of your images. So if you right click anywhere on any of the pictures, you can do flatten image, and now it flattens it. And now I could go to File, Save As, and save on your computer. Save on your computer again. I can name this Collage 1. And instead of a Photoshop file, because that won't submit to Canvas, you could go to the first JPEG options and then hit save. And then this time I want you to do maximum, so it's 12, and then hit OK. And you are done.